Um, I guess what were your feelings when DVDs started to come out? Did you immediately like switch over from buying?
No, I was like, fuck that. It's not going to happen. Me and Frank Henenlotter, because Frank used to be a customer, as well as my proofreader when I started writing. And he'd come into the store, well, fuck these people. I'm not going to another format. I got this, I got that. Then one day he walks in, Pete. I'm like, you did it? He goes, yeah. I'm like, you son. He goes, no, it's beautiful. It's this, it's that. I'm like, fucker, now I'm going to have to replace all these tapes with this shit. So yeah, we all did it. I just draw the line at Blu-ray. I'm not going there. I don't care. And they're saying, oh, they're going to release all the Universal stuff on Blu-ray. What are you going to do with a black and white movie? Let's be realistic. Unless you know something I don't, which you probably do. But I'm not replacing my whole collection with Blu-rays. Fuck that. They'll come up with another thing next couple of years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree.
The whole fucking format is, you went beta. Okay, let's go back further. You went 8 millimeter, 16 millimeter, beta, VHS, laser, DVD, now Blu-ray. I'm done. How many times are you going to buy the same fucking movie? That's what it comes down to.
Can we talk about, you mentioned earlier the 60-40 Giuliani kind of thing.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that at all?
That was a godsend for Norman, because one of his deals with that company in California, he got all these football tapes. Well, they sort of fucked them, and they had a big falling out, but we had over 50,000 Green Bay Packers tapes. And Norman's big thing was when he fucked up, he'd never admitted to go in the basement, then I'd have to deal with it down the road. Well, once they pulled the 60-40, if people watching this don't understand what's going on, Giuliani was rabidly anti-porn. So what they did was they passed a law where all the adult stores had to have 60% of non-adult goods to offset the porn. All of a sudden, these tapes that we were selling for $25, he was getting $1.50 for. I mean, anything you could think of that we were stuck with, they'd take because they had to have it in there. And one time we got a bunch of stuff that was like broken, and they did the same thing in Florida. And the guy said, do me a favor. I don't care if they work or not. Just shrink wrap the boxes. And I go, what if somebody wants to buy them? And he goes, I'm going to put $79.95 on every one of these. Nobody's ever going to buy this shit. So probably still, if you walk in New York, certain places, you still have a whole rack of shit there that nobody's ever going to buy. But yeah, it helped us out a lot. We got rid of a lot of crap. Because Troma came in when I was doing Chiller, and they said, well, you work for, Liquidators, right? I go, yeah. And he goes, you think they'd buy a bunch of VHS tapes for $1? And I says, might. So I tell Norman, he goes, yeah, get him on the phone. So I get him on the phone, and I go, yeah, I got him. He goes, offer him $25. I'm like, I ain't fucking offering you. You fucking talk to the guy. I got to deal with these people. They took it. Yeah, so we got like a tractor trailer full of Troma shit for $25, but some of it was like real shit. The only score was Blood-Sucking Freaks in there. That was about it. In it for so long. I actually created a video store in a flea market. I started out in front, and I just refused to go inside because nobody came in. But they'd see me I was on a highway, so they'd drive by, and whenever you see a pile of shit on the highway, you stop. So I was doing a lot of money, but then the town got involved and shit, so they made me go inside. So I tried it, and it worked. And it got to the point where my little indoor booth was 3 times the size of this room. That's how packed up it was. And I was doing good. I was the best kept secret in Morris County with the porn, because I had the pagans buying off me and the Morris County Sheriff's Department buying off me. So no cop ever gave me a fucking problem there. Though I punched out a guy for kiddie porn. The guy kept insisting something, and he goes, I know you can get it. I go, you're fucking wrong. Even if I could, I wouldn't sell it. I'm completely against that shit. Well, I started walking away. The guy grabbed me by the shoulder, spun me around, and I just splattered his fucking face. Asshole runs out and calls the cops. So when the cops come in, I go, before you ask me what prompted me to do that, ask him what he asked me that got him the punch in the face. The cop goes, come here. What happened? I go, guy's looking for kiddie porn. I go, you guys deal with me. You know better than that. He goes, don't worry about it. I never saw that fucker again. So yeah, it was done.
It's amazing.
That's one thing I didn't give a shit about the animals. I mean, even the Liquidators, you had to see the German shit. That was another biggie. Because they were bringing all this weird German porn with fisting, pissing, shitting, cows, pigs, horses, and shit. And he'd get big money for it. But the thing was, there's a book out called The Other Hollywood. Legs McNeil wrote it. Remember a name Mishkin that was in there? All right, Eddie Mishkin was one of the old-time porn guys who was bringing in the German stuff. And anybody who did anything in a clamshell or Amaray box was just asking to get bootleggers. That's what Norman did. So I wasn't there this day, thank God, because I didn't want no part of this, because this guy was one tough motherfucker, and plus he had face cancer too or something. He came walking in, he went in the back room, he picked up a German tape, walked up to Norman, put it on the counter, and goes, take off your glasses. Norman goes, why? He goes, just take off your glasses. bitch slapped him right across the fucking store. The kids told me this shit, and I'm like, he didn't do it for a while, but then Michigan died, so then he had another connection with these Israelis that were bringing the shit in all the time. But yeah, anybody, I used to cringe because guys were walking, Norm, I just shot this porn movie, and he goes, let me see if I can show it around. The minute the guy left the store, it was in the back room being duplicated because nobody was going to prosecute for porn because it was such a gray area back then too. It's another thing too. When porn first came out on VHS, it was $100 a shot. Now I was dealing direct with Caballero. Swedish erotica, 60 minutes were $30 wholesale, and the features were $50. So that made it cost prohibitive. But these guys in New York were just knocking this shit off and putting them in Amaray boxes for $30, and that was a fucking deal back then. So porn was the one thing you could just bootleg the shit of, and very few people would prosecute you, except the only guy I know who got a prosecution and won was Stagliano from Evil Angel, because somebody was knocking off his shit in cardboard boxes, and they went before a judge, and the court clerk happened to be a fan of this, and the judge was going to try to, he goes, oh no, this is copyright. So they won that one, but most of the guys, they didn't give a shit. Alpha Blue Archives, his shit used to come out all the time bootlegged. Anything in a clamshell or an Amaray, that was it. Come on. That's Cuddles. That's Cuddles the Bearded Dragon. And we call him Cuddles because he's not cuddly. Oops. Yeah, he just hooked himself in there. He's pretty tame. Yeah, so if you're going from VHS to Bearded Dragons, it's a natural progression of things.
Well, my mom is very understanding of my collecting of movies because I got it from her. Like, she has a whole closet of horror videotapes. She loves like Hammer horror films and any 50s like sci-fi horror, and so she would, like, when I would go to buy a bunch of stuff, she would buy a bunch of stuff too. So it wasn't like, what are you wasting your money on? She'd like, oh, I'm gonna buy like all these movies too. And like Christmas time, birthdays, like we would always get movies. And like I remember every Christmas when we were a kid, all of our stockings would each have I have two younger brothers, and we would each have a VHS tape waiting for us Christmas morning. So we'd wake up and be like, oh boy. And it was usually like whatever the new big movie was. So like there was one year where like I got like Tim Burton's Batman, my other brother got Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and then my other brother got I want to say like Mary Poppins or something like that. It just came out on, or no, it was E.T. So it was those three. And it was brand new VHS, like perfect fitting for a Christmas stocking. And that was sort of like the tradition for a few years, was just like we'd get a brand new VHS. I remember a birthday where they gave me every Indiana Jones movie, like every Star Wars movie. Like it was just, we even had an Easter where we got a videotape in an Easter basket of The Wind in the Willows. The Disney version was in my Easter basket, and that was the only time that ever happened. We never got a video before or after for Easter, but that one, it was like late 80s. We were just like, oh, videotape for Easter, all right. The best video hunt ever was we went to Winston-Salem to pick up film prints for the Alamo, and the guy who worked at this college there, who was helping for the film prints, he was like, what do you guys want to do today? And we were just like, oh, well, do you know any place where we can get like VHS tapes? And it was just like, the guy got really serious and looked at us, and he's like, are you fucking with me? And we're like, no. And he's like, are you kidding? Are you serious? And we're like, no, why? And he's like, my dad has like this large VHS tape thing at a swap meet. And we're like, really? And he's like, yeah, like you didn't know that? And we're like, no, we didn't know that. And he's like, why would you want to go out there? We're like, are you kidding me? Like, yes, that is definitely what we want to do. So he drove us out there, and it was in the middle of like just like nowhere, this swap meet, and the guy had so much amazing stuff. It was like the best collection of VHS I'd ever seen for sale. Like, it was nuts. And I got so excited that I kind of like went blind for like I couldn't like focus. I just had to like take it in. It took like an hour for me to calm down, because it was just like everywhere I looked, it was like, oh my gosh, this video I'm looking for, and this one. And Zach was the same way. We were just like we were in shock. And it was I was kind of dusty, and it was like in the middle of the swap meet, so my allergies were horrible there, and so like my eyes are red, and my eyes just got so red, and I was sneezing, and I felt terrible. But we just were there for like 8 hours, just like going through everything, just piling them up. We spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars we did not even plan on spending on this trip, and we just filled up the van we were in with videotapes. Just so much stuff, we couldn't believe it. And so the idea of that day, the guy was just like kind of confused as to why anyone would buy this many tapes. And he's like, well, if you want, like, I have like way more at my house. Do you guys want to go through those? I'm like, yes, yes, yes. So the next day, we went to his house, and he had a room in his house that was literally just a pile of videotapes, like just in a pile, like not like in any order. And you had to like dig through this pile. We had to dig through this pile to find like what tapes were in the middle, and then he had a whole other garage full of videotapes. And we were just like, we were, again, my allergies were awful, but it was just like we just kept finding so much stuff we've been looking for like our entire lives. And we were just like, we were crying. We were so excited. It was like finding treasure. It was insane. And we just could not believe it. And we came back and told all their friends and made them all very jealous and sad. And they were like, this is the greatest like haul of videos we have ever seen in our lives ever.
A lot of the fun of it was trying to get these stuff, you know, the search for it, you know, just driving around, you never knew what you were going to find. You could go into any store and just have stuff. And then if they did have, you know, they'll have some sort of crazy, you know, MPY tape or, you know, a couple Sun videotapes, and then trying to talk these places into giving them to you was, you know, that was half the battle right there. Or, you know, I can remember there's things that, you know, when you're younger, you just do the ballsiest shit. That doesn't seem like I can't even imagine doing this nowadays, but I can remember going into a store and just talking to the guy that worked there, just the kid. You figure he's making minimum wage, so it's like he doesn't care too much. So you slip him $20, you bring up the tapes you want, he'll put them in the bag, and you're basically just robbing him with their permission, and just, you know, walking out. You know, just the ugly girl behind the counter, just be real sweet and, you know, talk to her a bit and, you know, see what happens. Before you know it, you know, they'll, you know, you buy 3 tapes, they'll end up giving the other 10 you had, you know, slipping those in your bags. One of the best things that we found, there was a local chain called Movie King, and some of them were going out of business here and there. And I ended up calling the corporate number and going up the corporate ladder, making, you know, talking like 5 or 6 different people, and finally finding out that they were sending all of the overstock from these closed down stores to a warehousing facility in Delaware, and talk them into letting us go and just pillage this place. And so me and my friend Eric would go up there probably like once every 3 weeks or so, and it was just a constant rotation of stock. You would go in there, and I mean, it was unbelievable. You'd find, like, I probably grabbed, you know, probably half of my Moguls there, a good chunk of Continentals, a lot of the Super Tapes, you know, tons of old private screenings, but it would just, you would go in and just be racks. There's just multiple copies of, you know, when was the last time you can go in and find like 6 copies of The Forest on Prism just sitting right there, and something else next to it, and, you know, 4 copies of Night of the Howling Beast, and they were just selling them for like $2.50 a pop. So you would just go up and just, like, you know, blow through $800 just grabbing everything you could, and then you go up and it'd be a whole new batch of stuff, you know, the next time you were there. There was a lot of ethnic video stores actually down in southern Maryland too, like a lot of Asian stuff. I remember going down the one, because 2 of the guys from my old band went to college down in College Park, Maryland, which is, you know, around the outskirts of DC. I remember going down there, and, you know, I had one of those Go Video double-deck VCRs. I'd go and, you know, try to tape a bunch of Kung Fu stuff whenever I'd go down there. And there was this one place that had a ton of Tai Seng videotapes for rental, and, you know, they were $1 a pop to rent. So, you know, I'd grab, you know, what, you know, newest Jet Li or Jackie Chan movies, or, you know, anything that looked kind of off the beaten path, and take them back and, you know, run a couple dupes. You know, you'd rent 5 or 6, and, you know, I'd be done. I went in there one time and take up a couple movies to the counter, and the lady at the counter, this is the part probably gonna get me pegged as racist. She's like, "You rent or you buy?" And I said, "What? What do you mean?" She's like, "You rent $1, you buy $1." I said, "Okay, so let me get this straight. So I give you $1, I take this, and I never come back." She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, holy shit. So I just go over and literally grabbed every movie they had in the entire place. It was like, you know, probably about like 350 Tai Seng tapes. And normally, like, Tai Seng at the time was, you know, they were running, what, like $40, I think, a pop. So, I mean, you know, to grab them for $1 each. I mean, I was grabbing like romantic comedies and just like anything. I didn't even care. I was just like, $1, why not? So yeah, those were some fun times.
But my personal holy grail is a tape that I found in Chicago called Mark and Sherry's Wedding. I put it up on Everything Is Terrible. It was the first video I made with Everything Is Terrible, and it is just the most true to life. It is an actual wedding video in 1991 from a couple named Sherry and Mark, and it is the most beautiful, sad thing I've ever seen in my life. And the first thing I did was try to make a music video out of it, but the whole thing, and I'd love to play that thing in its entirety. It is a thing of beauty. It is a work of art, and it's that kind of stuff that I try to find. That's a whole nother world to this stuff that a lot of people don't really, it's just harder to find, is stuff that there was only really 5 copies made, stuff that was made for personal use. The goal isn't necessarily to make fun of it or even laugh at it or anything, but sometimes it's like the only gold mines left, because I think when there is only a certain amount of movies made, I mean, it's almost endless, but when it comes to that stuff, when it comes to stuff shot by a family member, meant for their family, that's a thing of beauty. It can be super boring, but when you find the right one, it is amazing. So for me, Mark and Sherry's Wedding is number 1 with a bullet, the greatest thing ever.
This tape is just whatever. What do you want to know about it? Chump change. I'm just kidding. That tape, well, it's not that complicated how that tape came about. Really, I've been buying tapes. When this tape popped up, I've been buying rare tapes or spending $100 now and then or more on, really obscure tapes. It is at a time. Hey. When my dogs hump each other. Get out of there. What was I saying?
It was at a time when you were already buying tapes that were expensive.
Yeah, it was at a time when I was just like hanging out, living on my own, and had a decent job, normal job. I wouldn't say decent, and had the kind of money to spend on it. And I was doing side work, and like I had a lot of things going where I had the disposable income from time to time. So this Quad Dead pops up, and it was like such a frenzy. It was so crazy. It was funny. I never saw such a ridiculous like nerd fest on a VHS tape besides, that Quad Dead listing.
Stuff people are saying, people have been talking about like spending ridiculous amounts of money on a tape is ruining collecting, or like...
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny.
Do you have anything to...
Well, I mean, I still think it's ridiculous that the Demon Queen went for 700 and something. That's a tape I saw like a bunch of times. But it's really, I think that people, I don't know if they're late to the game or something, but like sometimes shit just becomes collectible. And when it becomes collectible, then people get into a frenzy. I mean, remember those stupid fucking Beanie Baby bullshit? Like you could buy fucking every Beanie Baby for $8 or, at every fucking Walmart or whatever. But then all of a sudden, the fucking pink one was worth 100, and people were fighting each other for them, and trading all that shit and spending $5,000 on a rare Beanie Baby, like that. That's like ridiculous. But that's collecting. People collect stamps, they collect other little bullshit memorabilia, and it's just if you're into that hobby, then you're willing to do it. And for me, I was always a horror movie person and a horror movie buff, so to speak, and. As I got older, I put on horror movie screenings and did stuff and got involved with these people doing like, cool horror shit. And it's like, I've been collecting tapes all this time. So it's just like, I continue to like have that passion to like find rare shit, add stuff to my collection, be a little bit of a completist about, my labels and stupid shit like that. But that's collecting, you know what I mean? If you're a book collector or a record collector, you have a room of records, and you spent 10 grand on one, or whatever. So I don't think it's any different than that. I think just people are having a hard time accepting it because it's VHS, because it's cheapo plastic that no one liked and it looks like shit. But in reality, it's like the first ever like home media kind of thing that took off. So it's like a piece of history. It's a piece of nostalgia for people that are my age and older. And even younger, people are picking up on it. So it's a pop culture thing now. It's starting to turn into that. It's not just yard sale junk, just like records, I think it's starting to get that kind of attention. and people were probably just butthurt because they can't afford something. You know, I'm not a rich guy. I don't make a lot of money, but I save some money off to the side, or you know, I don't do this or do that because I might be like, I'm gonna hook up with a collector and I'm gonna spend a couple $100 on, you know, 4 or 5 tapes, but they're worth it to me. You know, it's like, whatever. Quad Dead popped up, I snagged it. Someone else would have got it. If I didn't get it, it would have sold for 5, you know, whatever. Who's that person out there? You know what I mean? Who's the guy that's dropped out at 4? Who's the guy that dropped out at 3? You know what I mean? There's people out there that want this shit, and that's really the bottom line.
When I first bought out a VHS store, I think 1999, and it was by total accident. I think I was 19 years old, and it was the last day of the sale. All the VHS in the store were $1 each. And I was looking around, and so I just started grabbing movies like Deathstalker and Beyond the Call of Duty and whatever else, and just stacking them up. And I was like, well, I only got like $30, so I'll just have to come back tomorrow. And he goes, well, today's the last day. And I'm like, what are you gonna do with all these VHS tapes? Like a yard sale or something? Flea market? And he goes, I wish somebody would just buy them all. I guess we'll throw them in storage. And I said, how much would you take for everything? They're $1 each. There must be like 500 movies in here. And he goes, well, how about $300 for everything? And I was like, can I go home and get my checkbook and I'll write you a check? He goes, sure. So I bought the whole video store out. This was no DVDs because DVDs weren't really affordable yet. They were $30 each. So the VHS tapes, I bought $300 for 1,200 VHS. That was only $0.25 each. And I wasn't on eBay yet. I was selling at yard sales, flea markets. I made like $5,000. And so at that point, I said, I'm not turning back. I'm gonna buy video stores, buy the whole. Or this has stickers on it. Nowadays, if people see stickers, they're like, I want this, and I want all the tapes that say horror, or I want all the tapes that say $1.99, or I especially want the tapes that say, please rewind. And I'm like, why? It's just their thing. That's what they collect. So back when I started selling VHS tapes, Sybil with Sally Field would go for $80. Now that movie's worth nothing. I sold Tales from the Quad Dead Zone in the late 90s for like $3 or $5 at a yard sale. Nobody wanted it. It sat there forever, and finally some kid bought it. And I was just like, oh well, glad to get rid of that movie. My last copy sold for $660. So it's changed drastically. People now are taking out loans practically to buy VHS tapes. But it's also become a huge money maker for people like me who go into video stores, or I go to the flea markets and I know what a tape is worth without even looking it up. I've probably made, should the IRS be hearing this? No, I've paid taxes. I didn't pay taxes in the beginning. I've been selling movies since 1995. I've easily made $200,000 to $300,000 selling VHS, DVDs, Laserdisc. So it's paid my bills. So I thank all the VHS collectors for helping me pay my rent. I don't know what else I would be doing. I guess I'd be working at a video store. But it's terrific because I've made so many friends. Hell, I wouldn't even be in this documentary if it wasn't for you guys finding me on the group. I've made a lot of friends on there. I've also made, not enemies, but there's like 4 guys or 5 guys I've blocked. I won't name names, just because of the fact that there's people who say, okay, I want this and this and this, I'll pay you tomorrow. And I'm like, okay. And then the next day comes, they don't pay. Then they're like, then they start negotiating. Then they go, oh, I'm in Canada, by the way. And I'm like, you didn't tell me that. Then another guy goes, can you ship me the product? And then when it gets here, I'll pay you. And I'm like, no, that's not how we do business. So there's a lot of shady people on there. I think I've blocked 6 people now. I've probably made 20 or 30 really good friends on there. There's some great guys on the group, and I've made a lot of business. Some of these movies, they sit on Amazon forever. But then you put a link on the Facebook collectors groups, and bam, somebody buys it. Because everybody's tastes are different. You know, one guy might go, I want all the AIP home video movies. And another person will say, I want all the unicorns. And I'll be like, I got some unicorns. And then somebody will say, I want all the Femme Fatales magazines. So there's a sale for every different person on there.
If I had made Video Violence 1, 2, or Captives with trying to generate a profit in mind, if I had made it with any purpose other than this is cool, this is fun, I want to see it in a video store, we want to make a movie, we can't make a porn movie, let's make a horror movie, and I love horror forever, then I might start to feel a little funny about the fact that now VHS is having a resurgence and our movies are being collected and sought after. But because I made it for the fun, I think it's the greatest thing in the world. I love that people are collecting it. I think it's just absolutely fabulous. There's no pretense. I don't think that MGM is going to call me up and say, hey, we want you to direct something. Perfectly happy in my theater life. I love that people are collecting it. As long as they understand the purpose behind it. I've been called groundbreaking and one of the pioneers. It's the most flattering thing in the world. It's absolutely wonderful.
Great.
I don't think I was in the video business long enough to start to be involved with the wacky side of things. Buying first-run films was pretty much an easy process. There was Simon and Baker, Baker and Taylor, close enough to us that we'd go on a Friday, sort of shopping cart. It was fascinating. A warehouse with 400 copies of this movie and 700 copies of that. And you picked it and you put it in a shopping cart. The only borderline sleaze was the guys who sold the porn. There you didn't go anywhere. There they came to us. And they'd come in and they had a suitcase and they'd open it up on the counter. And I had several people who knew that they were going to come each week. And they'd open it up, and there were all the big boxes, and there was a new Laurie Smith movie, or there was a new Ginger Lynn movie, and you bought them really on your own personal tastes. If I didn't like a particular actress, I probably wouldn't buy the movie. And you'd buy about 8 of them a week, and I think they cost $10. Then I'd take them home, I'd dub them off, so I have my own copies of them, and then we'd put them out on the shelves. When it all fell apart, I probably took a third of the inventory. I took the classics. I took anything with Peter Sellers, Peter O'Toole, George C. Scott, and a bunch of horror movies. Then we had a blowout, just as everybody does. Back then, you didn't buy movies. That hadn't really caught on yet. They were just starting to say you could buy this for $29.95, like Flashdance or something like that. So I don't think we had to sell those movies for more than a weekend, and they cleanly blew out of the store.
That's like when you first find something in the wild, like you find a big vein of like awesome tapes, and it's you don't really think, you just go into sort of adrenaline mode, and you're just like picking through everything. Like even if it's like in direct sunlight or in a dirty old bombed out Kmart, it's crazy. Like it's a rush that not unless you're into it, you probably won't get it. Like normal person would see, it's a bunch of shit on the floor. It's tapes. Who gives a shit, you know? But it's like when you find something cool in the wild, if you didn't find that, it wouldn't make you keep going and checking every under under every rock, you would just like it's what that feeling you get is kind of what keeps you going when you find something really cool. It keeps your wheels going, I guess. Yeah. That's a good question. Like I don't like. I'm not even sure. Like if it ever gets to that point where I just have to get rid of everything, like I and stop collecting, unless I had like a really good reason to. I really don't think I could because I enjoy it too much. I like doing it. I like amassing tapes, though. It's at this point, it's like I was saying, it's kind of a liability, like because it is like it's closing in on me. It's like I'm gonna be sleeping in a bed of tapes pretty soon, which I don't think that'll be very comfortable. I guess I'll find out. Yeah. Tracking. Like I haven't had to adjust my tracking in years.
Oh, actually, pretty. I mean, the life of a VHS hunter is perilous. Recently, I went to a yard sale and I saw, there was a Craigslist ad for this guy who had a yard sale, and it said that he had some horror posters, some 70s porn posters, and so like I figured I'd check it out. He might have some cool records, or I don't collect posters, but it's always nice to see, and maybe he'll have some VHS tapes. So show up right about when the yard sale started, and went and found these posters, and he had some legit posters. They were pretty good, and I don't collect posters, and the prices were a little bit more than I could pick up something just for the coolness of it. So after looking everything over, I said, like, where's the VHS, man? Like, and he's like, well, I didn't think that anybody would want VHS, so I didn't bring them, but I have hundreds of them. And I said, well, I'd buy them. And he said, I'll give you my number before you leave, and maybe you could check them out. So I followed up and went over to his place, and his place was pretty impressive. Like he had stuff everywhere. He had toys and dolls and posters on his walls. Just like the place looked like a museum of like vintage oddity. And guy was obsessed with serial killers. So it was a little bit scary, and I went out there alone. So I finally got to the tapes, which were in his bedroom, and he did have some amazing stuff. So I got about 40 or 50 tapes off of him, and threw him in the back of my car and headed back to the house. And I brought him inside and was showing every tape off to my girlfriend. And I pulled one tape out of the box, and bed bugs just fell out from the tape. And like, what the hell? So I look, and luckily the bed bugs are dead. They're like freeze dried. I don't know, it's still scary. Bed bugs are just nothing to mess with. So I would say some of the dangers of collecting tapes: mold, bed bugs. Anyway, I went through all of the tapes, didn't find a live bed bug, so I think I'm good. But that's one of the dangers of tape collecting. I don't know how badly mold can get, but certain types of mold, I don't know if it's tape mold or not, but certain types of mold can get you pretty sick, deadly sick, but I think that's black mold, not tape mold. But yeah, that's a pretty scary story from tape hunting.
Horror has been something that, just like within every one of y'all know that horror is something deeper than just a genre of a film. It's something that's in you. And so I guess it's the level of almost that is it within you. It came out in me, it came out through horror videos, the level of whatever you want to call it. Mine came out in horror videos, or it could have been in a body count. I mean, who knows what it could have been, but everybody knows who watches horror films that it goes deeper than, in my opinion, deeper than just watching the film for fun for one time and letting it go.
He said, all right, you have to just stop. Do you think you'd actually be able to?
Yeah, you could stop. Anybody could stop if they wanted to. It's just, I wouldn't want to stop because it brings so much joy, but it really does. It brings a lot of happiness to my life, collecting a new horror film. It gets kind of stale looking at these. I like to look at it, come in here, look at them, study them, do the different things that I do in here. And if there's nothing new to look at, it can get a little stale. So yeah, somebody could quit, but I wouldn't want to quit for the fear that, just the whole thing would get boring, So I just piece by piece keep adding pieces to the puzzle. Every little one's got its own little niche. If it's a Bigfoot film, it's going to go over here. If it's got the word murders in it, it might go right beside it. Like I got clown murders, baby doll murders, the video murders, the love thrill murders. If there's another murders, there's a very good chance it's going to go right there with those murders.
Do you think you'll ever just end up being in a house made of VHS?
I have pictured it. I really have, because nothing, the way it's set up now, the way you can see it, that doesn't do any justice to cover art whatsoever. I would just love to have the walls lined with rows, every inch of every bit of the walls, so that I could turn them sideways and look at them like if they were a rental store. I'd love to get a rental store and call it something like Jay's Retro Horror Video and rent VCRs out and rent videotapes out. That's true retro video. If you want to come, to my store and rent out VCR tapes and horror movies, though that would be really cool in my opinion, but I don't know, so Blockbuster can't even stay in business. Why would I be able to? So.
You got the rare movies, that's why you'd stay in business.
There's 2 Kathy's Curse big boxes out there.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Planet Video.
And Continental.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that, but it would have eventually got to me and drove me nuts. Because then I would have been like, what? I done said I had them. Now I got to get the other one.
Are there any tapes out there that you really want? Holy Grail tapes?
Yeah. What was the one we were talking about?
Demon Queen. I was going to say you should tell that story, and how much you were willing to spend on that.
Right. Well, Demon Queen. I want Demon Queen. I was going to 600 on my very first bid, and it just disappeared off of eBay. So I feel that somebody out there is going behind the scenes and doing their own little eBay and talking to the sellers and talking them into selling their stuff directly to them. But either way, yeah, I would bid $600 open and bid on Demon Queen. And if anybody has Demon Queen, I'm opening up for $600 right now. Contact me. You can sell it straight to Jay. But the Quad Dead Zone and the Tales from the Quad Dead Zone and the Black Devil Doll from Hell. Is that what it's called? Those are the only ones left for me. I mean, everything else I've got it. And if they come up, I'll get them. And if they don't, it's not a big deal. I'm in retirement, but my eyes are constantly open for those. And I really can't say that is the last few that I have to feel like I'm complete.
What's your opinion on tapes selling for so much and how it's getting harder to actually buy stuff for cheap?
Well, it's a double-edged sword, and having so many, you're kind of glad to see the prices go up because And if you ever decided to sell out, you're going to make some decent money. If you're still collecting, and I really am, even though I'm in retirement, you know, so many people are interested in it now. I can't even get a video off eBay. I mean, I'm like, guys, look, I'm Jay, cut me a break.
Nice. Hey, well, if you see something that you really want, do you not buy it?
No way. If I see I'm on there, man, just like a great white every night. Still, I'm on eBay, just like that, man. Just can't wait, and that's why this guy, man, calling you out, whoever you are, man, and you know who you are. You stole my Demon Queen, and that was supposed to go to me, and you went behind and pulled some stuff, and you got it. But you ain't smarter than Jay. You got it once. You got it. And I know you got a bunch of others that way, but you didn't get my last house like that. But anyway, you know who you are.
I think it's nuts. I think it's absolutely nuts. I think that it's fun to watch. I think sometimes it's crazy to watch. It's like, you know, it's insane to me. I mean, seeing it. And it's changed so quickly. I think over the past 5 years, it's changed radically. I think, you know, seeing tapes go for like $600, $700, people putting tapes up on there. Like I saw Mama's Home up on for $700, original tape. I mean, you can buy that in that new Camp Motion Pictures The Basement. Like that's on there under captive. So I mean, you can watch the movie, but I mean, these are collectibles now. VHS tapes are more than just like a form of media. It's now, it's media history. So I mean, but I still say, and I can go on record saying that it's best to do what I do and what you guys do, which is dig. You go out and you look for tapes. Ask your friends what's in their basement. Go to flea markets, make friends with old people, see if they have VHS tapes, because they still have them, you know, and people still will let them go for 50 cents rather than $500. I love my video store. Video Vision, rest in peace, Bridgeton, New Jersey. But it was great, and you know, and the great thing about it, I got to go, when they were closing down, I got to go and buy a bunch of tapes from them. So now a lot of the tapes in my, not a lot, but a deal of my tapes in my collection are from that video store, and I recognize them when I pick them up, and you know, I get a little time travel there, and it's great, especially because I can put them in. I don't know if there's a good chance it was the one I was renting when I was a kid. You can't say for sure, but I like to imagine that it was. So much stuff. I mean, starting the magazine has opened a lot of doors for me, just doing stuff like this. Stuff I never even imagined. The reason I started Lunch Meat is to share and share alike, as they say, to create something that was tangible, like the VHS tape. We have a blog now, but that happened I only did it about a year ago. I was kind of hesitant because I'm like, kind of a Luddite, I guess. But yeah, I mean, lots of special things have happened. I made a lot of cool friends. I have, got a lot more tapes. I've gotten chances to trade with people. I've gotten opportunities with doing interviews like this, being interviewed in magazines, and being able to publish a magazine. It's all because of VHS. I mean, if it didn't exist, that wouldn't exist. Doing the Lunch Meat VHS Rewind Theater, which is an online TV show where I show shot on video flips on the Camp Motion Picture label. That's really cool. I got to go and be kind of a horror host for a little bit, and I thought that was really cool. I just find myself to be like not like a personality or anything, just like a guy that loves that kind of thing, and they stuck me in front. I mean, I'm the kind of guy that would rise up to a challenge, so I mean, it was a lot of fun. I went to New York for one day, started at 5:30 in the morning, and got on planes, trains, and automobiles, and did tons of stuff, and did a quick shoot for about 5.5 hours, maybe 5 hours, and we banged it out, and hopefully it turns out well. I mean, they're editing it right now, and it was a great opportunity. It's something that I can say I've done, and it's all because I was sitting around and wanted to start a print scene about VHS.
I can wrestle it out here. The Make 'Em Die Slowly tape from Thriller Video. When I wanted to rent this, let's go back to 1985, 86. Inwood Video, I rented this very same tape that I own now. It took me weeks to get it. Every time it came in, it went right out. I remember the first time I spotted it, I looked at it, made the mistake of not grabbing it. Someone came right in behind me, grabbed it. Took me weeks, anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks before I could get this copy again. Okay, when I came in that day, they were playing it on the TV. Okay, which was crazy, but I have to say this, that Inwood Video was on Dowdy Boulevard, and it goes into Far Rockaway. Any video store that was closer to what we call a combat zone, which means a really bad area, and that part of Far Rockaway were the best video stores because they carried the most degenerate examples of horror films and exploitation films and porn films. And I can't make this up. I'm not kidding you. Stuff that you'd see and you never see again. This guy also had some kind of a scam going. He had a lot of those Ivor Film Services. Let me see. I might have one here somewhere. Yeah, here we go. Let me show you this. Shriek of the Mutilated. This I also got from him. See, Ivor Film Services were British. What was happening is I think these were being bootlegged in Canada, if I'm not mistaken, and being sold to companies here. He had a ton of the Ivor Film Services stuff, a ton of it. And, you know, I just couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't believe the access to all these movies I had. Anyway, they're showing Make 'Em Die Slowly. The owner comes in. The owner was an old world Italian guy, heavy-set guy, probably actually very conservative. He walks in, he sees the scene with, I guess, what is it, a mongoose fighting a snake or something like that going on. And he starts yelling at the girls who were playing it. Shut this shit off, he says. I can't make this up. The guy was furious, like, get this shit off the TV. And they did. They shut it off. Somebody rented the tape. Took me about 6 weeks to finally get to see it. This was a big deal. And the reason why I point it out is because everyone was renting it. You're talking about people who at this point did not have their mind made up of what makes a good movie, what makes all movies were equal at that time. It wasn't about, oh, I want a movie with a budget. Or I want a movie that looks good. People were just so thrilled to be able to go into a store and pick up a movie. I swear to you, movie fans never felt more gifted. It was like a great time to be alive. Like the excitement, it still runs through me that it was such a big deal to see. It's all changed now. You download this crap. You don't even pay for it. It's gotten so crazy. But back then it was such a big deal because it was scarce. And you couldn't really, and you were so thankful whenever a store ordered something weird when you had stores. But I was lucky because I was surrounded by air. I was very close to Queens. So I was growing up in the 5 towns, very close to Queens. So you can imagine each store carried something crazy in it. Sometimes these people would give you a look like you were a madman when you went up there to rent this stuff. Some were very helpful. Some wanted you to rent everything. Others, you know, it's funny, you kind of got to laugh. They had a porn section, they had a horror section. You're bringing this stuff up, but they're looking at you like you have 3 heads, like there's something wrong with you. You're coming up with an army of porn in one hand, an army of horror in the other, and they think you're a nut. Wow, this guy's crazy. What the hell? What is all this stuff? You know? So sometimes you would get attitudes from people. Sometimes people would be like they didn't know how to handle you. They didn't know what you would do. They would check you out, but you could always see them kind of looking at you through the corner of your eye. You know, you always wondered, what did they say about you when you walked out? Oh, is that freak again? You know?
A difference between the movies that you acquired and went to release versus the movies that you directed yourself?
The mom and pop video stores, which were really the main, they were like bookstores. You'd go in, you'd browse, you'd find an interesting title. It might be Bloodsucking Freaks, or it might be the Queen Elizabeth story. But there was a variety, and the mom and pop owners of the stores were, for the most part, genuine movie fans, and they loved what they were doing. But unfortunately, they could not compete with the blockbusters and the chains who had national advertising and had access to the giant mega conglomerate powerhouse, and they one by one went out of business. New York right now, we're in no video stores except for Forbidden Planet, at least none that I know of. In the entire New York area, there is one video store that has Troma movies.
Have any negative experiences with releasing movies? Did any companies ever try and not pay you or anything like that?
In the video cassette in the height of the video cassette age, Vestron was very good at promoting. They did in-store. They didn't care whether your movie was independent film or whether it was a big star vehicle, they would see the value to the film and promote it in the appropriate way. With The Toxic Avenger, even though a film, not that Toxic Avenger is a horror film, but it's got gore and sex and comedy all mixed together. The Toxic Avenger was featured in video stores with giant life-size cutouts with Toxie holding a mop, and they were in video stores all over the country. And so I think for the most part our experiences were pretty good. Vestron always honored their contracts. Media Home Entertainment honored their contracts, and I think the
VHS has almost had a resurgence recently, and like people are beginning to like re-release movies on VHS and release movies. What do you think of that? And do you have any like plans in the future to maybe dabble in that?
We are planning to do a VHS release of something now. I can't remember what it is. I'm not sure even why we're doing it. I think it's just our fans wanted us to do something with VHS. So I think we're... What are we doing? What was it, Toxic Avenger? What are we doing?
We'll do anything that our fans tell us they will buy.
But which one is it?
Bar mitzvah films if they were going to buy.
Anyway, we are currently preparing, I think, a VHS release of Toxic Avenger and I think maybe Poultrygeist. But it's only because our fans at conventions some of them seem to be VHS nuts. I personally don't care for VHS. The DVD is infinitely better because you've got the commentary tracks, you get the history, I just got the full collection of Laurel and Hardy, and it's terrific because you get all sorts of history along with it, and the quality obviously is magnificent, and VHS is certainly not that attractive to look at. I'm not quite sure why people are so interested in VHS, and I don't know that that's a huge market. I think Troma's modern day VHSs are going to be limited editions, and our head of distribution is doing something where I sign them and they're numbered, and so they'll be kind of collectibles, I suppose. Collectibles with no value, just like my career.
You spent some time in the pokey with them, though.
Yes.
No, sorry. Forget about that.
Certainly one of the visionaries in the video world was indeed Charles Band, who he and his father pretty much, if I remember correctly, they invented the video cassette, and I think that they were quite successful. But I have not had the privilege of working with them. I haven't had the privilege of working with Menachem Golan or Harvey Weinstein or any others of the wonderful world of movies.
I could tell a crazy story about one time I was working in a video store, and a pregnant woman and a man comes into the store, and they ask for adult movies. And I said, okay, adult movies, they're in the back. Go ahead, check them out. It's right back there. And they say, they go back there, they come back out, and then they say, hey, can you help us show us what's good back there? And I'm like, well, really, it's a matter of opinion. Porno is a personal kind of taste thing. It's not like I can't tell you it's good. And I was just like, there's all types of stuff. They're like, oh no, you know what's back there. You know what's back there. You know what's good. I was like, okay, I think I can do this. I go back there, and I was like, start looking around. They're looking around, and they're like, do you have any animal movies? And I was like, no, we don't have stuff like that. That's illegal. We don't sell animal movies. That's she's like, no, I've seen that before. It's okay. And I'm like, this is really weird now. But it's New York City, and weird stuff happens all the time, But animal movie, pregnant woman, I guess this dude, whatever. And then I start they like, show me. I was like, all right, well, this company's a new company, and they're more professional. They're hardcore. And here's a company that's a softcore company. You know, because you work in the business and you know that, you know, and then after a while, you know, different things. This is this type of thing. This is this type of thing. And as I point to a different one, she would grab it, and I'd be like, well, not that specific one. I'm saying, you know, this is what this company does. I'm not giving you a review of this particular movie. And she's like, all right, fine. Okay, and then they pull 3 movies. And then they go, all right, we want to go in the booth. And then at that point, I realized that this is not a pregnant woman and her husband trying to get their jollies by watching a porno movie. This is a pregnant prostitute and a John who want to do it in my store. And that's weird for me and illegal. There's so many laws against that. It's just like, because video stores have jack-off booths, what they call them. These booths in the city. I mean, video stores in general, porno stores in the city are crazy. They have these, some of them have live girls who you can still see. And, you know, there's still a video spot that I go to that has live girls into it, which is cool. You can go get VHS tapes and there's live girls there and they say, hey, you know, but that's a whole nother story. But, you know, there's jerk-off booths. And she wanted to do this dude in my booth. And that wasn't happening. And I told her, I was like, tried to be very nice about it. I said, well, you can't do that in my store. I'm sorry, man. This is my, I have this job to put me through college. That's, if you do that, I'll get in a lot of trouble. And I could get in a lot of trouble. It's illegal. If the cops come in here, how do I know you're not a cop? And just tried to really give the whole, you know, spiel. And as I'm trying to get out of this situation, this woman is saying, you know, is caressing her boobs in a way to make her nipples hard, as a way to entice me into letting her have sex with her John in my video store in this jerk-off booth, which wasn't going to happen. And she's like, how much does it cost to use a jerk-off booth? I was like, it doesn't matter. It's not important how much it costs because it's not going to happen. They're like, oh, no, I'll give you $10. I was like, this is my job. I'm not going to, $10 means nothing to me. She's like, oh, no, I'll pay for the booth. I'll pay for him, and I'll pay for me, and I'll pay extra $10. And I was like, get it through your head, lady. It is not going to happen. This is, you know, I've been nice as nice as possible. And she's like, okay, what if I suck your dick right now? And I unzip my pants. I'm just kidding, no. But I said, I lost my mind. Well, no, she said, what if I suck your dick right now? And then the John that she brought in just goes, I'm out of here. And he turns around and leaves the store. And I'm just... You're it. Has everything cool?
What fell? Keep where you're at. Is this camera still recording?
Yeah, cut that.
Cut it?
Yeah,
Or do you want to just keep talking?
Alright, so then this guy just totally freaks out. He's like, I'm out of there. Of course. She's giving out blowjobs for free. He's going to not be happy about that. He was a paying customer, and now she's to get the money to... I mean, who would fuck this woman in the first place? I want to know. This pregnant, disgusting, Gungan-looking prostitute. It was gross. It was, I mean, with the nipples. And he leaves. She chases after him. I was like, thank God that's over. All right. Back to work at my porno store / normal video store. Thank you, Giuliani. But the best part is she comes back and she starts coming up to, she comes back and she's like, I'm really hard-headed. I'll never forget it. She used the word hard-headed like 50 times. I'm very hard-headed as she caresses her boobs again to entice me. I'll make you feel good. She said things like that. It was just very uncomfortable for me to deal with. As you know, I mean, at that point, I worked at the video store for a couple of years. You know, I was there for 5-6 years maybe. You know, I may have been 20 at that point, at the most, and that was still, it was wild, man. It was wild to have to deal with that. And then, eventually, my friend from upstairs, who also lived in the building, came down and walked in, and she freaked out that somebody else came in and she left. And it was actually the owner of the building's son, who lives upstairs, Dan, who was a complete nut job, and I would party with. Sometimes I would just close the store and go upstairs and party with this dude and then come back. It's stuff like that was kind of fun. Working at a video store, you can kind of pull all types of crazy stuff. You could close the store, you could stay up all night and have people over and watch movies and party and show off the weird porno section. It's a cool job to have if you're that old. But video stores didn't start out like that. Video stores back in the day when I was a kid and went to them, it was an old guy behind the counter who ran the store. And, then it switched over and young people worked. There's a lot of people I know my age that has very similar experiences that worked in video/porno stores and stuff like that who are obsessed with film. It's kind of a thing that, a rite of passage, I think, to work in a video store. As a collector, it adds a certain amount of credibility to be on the other side of the counter at some point.
Anyway.
Blockbuster.
Fuck those Christian parasitic cocksucking motherfuckers. Go to hell. Yeah, I'd line those fuckers up. Dish. Systematically eliminate them, dude. What more needs to be said about that fucking shithole of a company, man? I mean, I own a couple of they had some, no, fuck Blockbuster, man. There's just, oh God, I hate Blockbuster. Done. Fucking done. Nothing else to say. Fuck them, dude. Every time I fucking drive by one of their stores closes, I rejoice. Netflix, thank you, Netflix. Fucking eliminate them, man. Those pieces of shit need to not exist in this world, in my opinion. Done. One of my favorite fucking stories of sheer bliss. And this was fucking, the best part about this is this was a couple of years ago. I was in Reckless Records, which is down, it's just record store. People would pawn off some shit there. I got some cool titles there, from time to time, but nothing big. And I, was hanging out with this chick at the time, and her back was, to the VHS wall. I was like, let's just stop in here and see if they have anything. Maybe pick up a CD or two. Very few gems, research, come through there. And oh, dude, this was fucking rad. She's talking, and my eyes gloss over. I'm like, ugh. And and I see Mad Ron's Previews from Hell spine right fucking behind her. And not sound like I love women to death, not sound like a dick, but I was just like, Gish! And then, if you're a fucking VHS collector, you see the spine. Man, you never know what you're gonna get on the cover, man. You never know what you're getting on the cover. It could be so washed out that I'll fucking just go limp dick immediately, man. And I just busted that thing out, dude. Mint condition copy. It is right behind this young gentleman right here to this day. And, oh man, come on, let me get in there, dude. Where is it? Mad Ron's. What's the alphabet? L-M-N-O-P. Maybe it's behind you or here. Oh, come on. There it is. Come here, baby. Come here, little fella. And here it is. And so I saw the spine and because I'd read about this for forever, and I am a sucker for trailer compilations. And this one I've always read was the best one. And then, pull that thing out and just, I get greeted with that. And obviously being a comic goon, come on, dude, that's so sick. The fucking logo, everything. So I was just and I bailed from that. I was like, you're awesome, Stephanie, but I'm over it. I just gotta go home right now. Like, this is just too fucking great, man. Like, look at that, dude. Everything on that shit is just fucking perfect. Yeah, so I fucking spent fucking time on this like I would Pamela Anderson, man. I'd be like, oh God, let me check you out. Damn, babe, you're sick. So yeah, this was one of my favorite scores. I mean, you know, there's a fucking bunch, but that was kind of one of my favorites, actually. Yeah, sick, right? Oh, get on it. I mean, obviously, I love Blood and Boobs. Elvira, you know, I fucking, you know, she's like my fucking queen. I love Elvira to death. So obviously, you know, I tried to get as many of those as possible. Oh, I still need the human duplicators. Fuck. Get me human duplicators, somebody. I'll suck your dick. But yeah, that's good. Wizard, of course. Obviously, fucking Midnight, still lacking on there. Gorga Girls, another dick I'll suck. Oh man, cut that out. Actually, don't cut that out. That's fine. What'd that Demon Queen go for? Like $15,000? It was like something retarded. Oh my God. But God, I want that movie so, because I'm a big Nightmare City fan. I love Nightmare City, dude. So I've always wanted that, man. That fucking bitch's face all torn up, like, yeah. That's awesome. But I'll never fucking have the funds for that, man. I gotta wait till all these fucking posers die off and, you know, and then, you know, sell their shit because their fucking, you know, fucking girlfriend is intolerant. So that's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm waiting for. Contact me. No dick sucking.
There's no way that looking for something on, you know, Cinemageddon or something is more fun than really going out and searching for something. It's like, on Easter morning, is your kid gonna look for Easter eggs on the internet, or are they gonna go out in the backyard and like look in plants for Easter eggs? Like, if you want to raise your kid, you know, to only like the internet and only do things like that, then you might as well have just like had an abortion. Like, adventure is part of life, and collecting things or searching for things or going on crazy like kamikaze missions to find fun things, whether you're collecting videos or like collecting, you know, insects or venereal diseases or whatever. Like, you have to get out there and do it and like have fun. And all these people who just want convenience and want efficiency, these are people that really, like, what are they living for? Like, what is the purpose of their lives? You know, and that's 99% of the people in the world. So fine, you know, let them do nothing and think they've accomplished everything. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm gonna continue having adventures with my friends and having fun, and that's all part of the same thing. That's all part of living for real versus living conveniently.
You want to do some bullet points? Well, do you remember the first time you saw something that was shot on video, and what were your opinions of it?
Oh man, yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, I'm really grateful to Dormarth because we were all together. We were all friends living in a small town where he still lives in Olympia, getting into video buying. And at that time, there really was no, you know, community of that, and the internet was still pretty new. So it was just a bunch of friends buying tapes. And so I was really fortunate that the first shot on video movie I saw was Splatter Farm. And that was thanks to Dormarth. And he had stumbled across it and was just like, what is this? You know? And he was telling us, oh, we gotta watch Splatter Farm. We gotta see this thing. And of course, the concept of something being shot on video, that's, you know, pretty easy to absorb because we'd all seen wedding videos or just like, you know, home movies and stuff. But to see a feature film shot that way, like with an original synth score and everything, like, and just the complete realization that two guys in their 20s can make a feature film this way, you know, like, it was, sure, it's laughable because of the limitations that are always intrinsic to that type of movie, but it was also really exciting because then we were thinking, like, how many more movies are there like this? And we went to Big Daddy's video sale and we're like, you know, looking for boxes that might or might not be shot on video. And of course, it wasn't until years later, as, you know, information became available and the community of VHS buyers was growing, that, you know, we realized that there's a following specifically for shot on video movies. And maybe you'd find video violence, but you sure weren't going to find like Copperhead or, you know, the more obscure movies like that. You know, Blood Cult got around But then we found Gourmet Zombie Chef from Hell, and we're just like, this is crazy, you know, like there's all this stuff, and all the Polonia brothers work, you know. And it was like a whole other room in the video collecting, you know, like dump opened up. And he found Blood Lake shortly after that, and which is one of the most ineptly told stories in the history of movies. You know, like this is really like a 28-minute segment of guys just sitting at a table playing quarters and like water skiing, you know, and it's just like, it just showed that there were really no limitations in the world of VHS. Like there was no, people say like, oh, there's no limits, there's no maximum to this type of entertainment, but Shot on Video Horror showed there was no minimum in what was capable. You know, it was like the reverse of limitlessness. It was like the reverse of limitlessness in that it was showing you the limitness of VHS and Shot on Video, and that was pretty staggering. I was fortunate enough to work at a mom and pop video store prior to Blockbuster moving in. When I was 20 years old, I got a job at the longest running video store in Olympia, Washington. It's called Northwest Video Plus. About 4 blocks away, a Hollywood Video moved in and more or less made it impossible for Northwest Video Plus to exist. They went out of business in about a year. And that was another cornerstone of my collection. Was the owner just told me like, hey, I'm so broke at this point, as we're closing the store, I can't even afford to pay you. So can I pay you in tapes? And that was a really emotional, sad time, but it also helped start my collection along with the stuff I was buying from Big Daddy Video. And I got my tape of The Abomination there from Northwest Video closing. So from that experience, I hated Blockbuster Video, I hated Hollywood Video, because clearly that is the type of business like a Best Buy, that their model is to move into a community, wipe out the competition, and just basically have a monopoly. And so when Netflix started and Hollywood and Blockbuster Video started to cry about it, not only did I laugh, not realizing that Netflix would also kill all the remaining mom and pop stores, but I also would go to Hollywood Video and start buying their tapes that they were selling off, because they did start doing that then. And they put stickers on the side of the tapes and stuff like that, which I removed for the most part. But I never felt any sort of pity or affinity for Blockbuster Video. And I've never supported them. I've never been a member of their stores, because they were really the first wave of the destruction of what we hold dear, you know, in the mom and pop video store. Some of them had a fair selection of tapes. When I would go in to buy off their stock, I'd see that they had interesting titles. I got my copy of Lost Empire at a Blockbuster. But I feel like they probably only had those tapes because I imagine they absorbed them from some mom and pop shop that they destroyed and bought out. I don't think they had some buyer at the top that was like, headless eyes, this would be good for our customers. You know, like, I don't think they cared. I don't feel like a business like that ever cared. And as much as I hate everyone turning to the internet for home video watching, and I really hate Redbox, it does give me a little smile every time I pass by a Hollywood Video and a Blockbuster Video that are out of business. They won't even admit that they've gone out of business. I don't know if you guys know about this. When a Blockbuster closes, they say, we're moving. And then in small letters it says, to the internet. Because they can't admit that they have failed, like that their empire has crumbled. So like, oh no, I'm not dying. I'm just moving to the dirt. It's like, come on, like you died. Give me a break.
Netflix.
Netflix, like if Blockbuster Video was like the first shot fired in the war against independent video, like Netflix was the nuclear bomb that just like annihilated everybody with no honor at all. And that company really just has strung people along, whether or not people accept it, by at first offering a pretty vast selection of titles on DVD. And then as soon as all the independent stores go under, they completely yank that option. And they just say, oh, just do the streaming thing. You know, we have a few physical DVDs available, but pretty much just stream 30 Rock. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And this pretty tremendous selection of titles they had has really withered when you compare it to what they had available on DVD versus what they have available for streaming. I'm not a member of Netflix, and I'm not going to join Netflix until every independent video store within 100 miles is gone. Right now, the only place I watch movies is I go to the local video stores and I rent those movies. And that's what I'm happy doing, because there is a broader selection, and more importantly, like, there are human beings who are paying their rent from me, you know, going there with friends, or me giving them tips at the counter when I rent videos. Like, you know, this is an important thing to do. Like, there are other humans in this world. We should support their businesses and help them live rather than stream 30 Rock on Netflix. It's funny too, because there are people I know in the Austin, like, you know, film nerd community who are huge movie fans. It's like, oh, I love watching, you know, like every obscure horror film I can find, but they are not even members of local video stores. Like, they strictly are watching this shit on Cinemageddon or whatever, which I'm also not a member of. And to me, it means that you don't really care. It's like, if you are a video fan, then you want video to exist in whatever form it can, like in whatever environment it can. And you can be like a power user, and you could be doing Netflix and renting videos and having a collection and using, you know, like the download stuff online. But if you're not at least excited about the fact that there's still a video store in your town, it means that there's some kind of defect in your appreciation of movies, because there are experiences that only come from a video store being in your town. And Netflix is never going to provide that experience. It's impersonal. It is designed to be impersonal. And to me, Netflix is just like the Redbox online. When anyone talks about video stores, we just say, like, is it bigger than a Redbox? Then it is better than a Redbox. And like, I'm not sure that in its heart, Netflix is bigger than a Redbox. I think it's just providing a service just like, you know, a chimney sweep or something. It's not providing a love of movies.
God. So many videos, such a large selection at the Bradco video store, which is what you're seeing right now. Right now we're in the action section, and just so many great titles here that I've amassed over the years. Operation Nom with Donald Pleasance, that's a really good one. Or at least I think it's good. Most people probably say it's crap, but oh well. Park Is Mine with Tommy Lee Jones. That one I picked up from a Palmer Video on St. George's Ave here in Linden, New Jersey. It was $2.99 for this. Now it's probably a $60 tape, I would think. Very young Tommy Lee Jones in it, too. There's also a lot of other titles down here. There's Redneck with Telly Savalas. I'm sure some people may have heard of that one. Telly Savalas plays a real evil kidnapper in it. Great film. I'll just keep coming down this way here. Satan's Sadist on the original Super Video box. That's pretty much a classic. Rust Hamlin hamming it up as a motorcycle guy. Let's see what else we got here. Telethon, original MGM box with Charles Bronson, another Donald Pleasance movie. I'm a big Donald Pleasance fan. Almost anything he's been in, I've pretty much bought throughout the years. Let's see what I have here now. Thunderbolt and Lightfoot, that's a good one. Not the best, but okay. Where is it? Actually, this is one I want to talk about. Time Stalkers from 1986, starring Klaus Kinski and William Devane. I should say, Back to the Future ripoff in a way, because it uses time travel and they basically go back in time. Klaus Kinski goes back to the Old West to try and change the future, the year 2586, I believe. And as usual, he's doing a great job hamming it up as the bad guy. Sort of an ode to his old Italian westerns he did back in the 60s and 70s. And it's also the last time, one of his last film appearances. The only other film he did after that was, I believe, Paganini and Cobra Verde. One was Werner Herzog, and the other one he directed, and Paganini was pretty bad. It got terrible reviews at the Cannes Film Festival back in '88, I believe. And then after that, Kinski never did a movie again, unfortunately. Am I doing good so far? Or?
Yeah, you're doing great. Just give us as much knowledge about the place as you can.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so now this is the horror section, which is definitely my favorite section. Ever since I was God, 5 years old. That's when I really got into movies. I started watching just offbeat horror films. One was The Worm Eaters. That was the first horror film I believe I ever saw. Even the Indiana Jones movies had like a horror element, especially Temple of Doom. Those were the kinds of movies I watched when I was like 5 years old. You know, little would I know that it would lead to all this. Actually, Alligator with Robert Forster. That was another early film I saw and got me into John Sayles since he did the screenplay for it. Oh. Okay, John Sayles. All right. Now, as you can see down this aisle here, we're in the section of the B's. Another movie here we have is the Boggy Creek 2. You know, Legend of Boggy Creek was the original. We also have, I believe, a snuff type of movie, Camps of Death, which has World War II footage. That's a pretty rare one, actually. I used to see that in the video stores back in the day, and this was like a $80 tape, I think, when it was around. We also have Capture Bigfoot, Carpathian Eagle, which is an Elvira thriller video presentation. Get to see her host a really bad movie, which was only an hour. It was a part of the Hammer House of Horror, I believe, back in '84. We also have a bunch of Christopher Lee movies here. I'm a big Christopher Lee fan. Brides of Fu Manchu, Castle of the Walking Dead, and there's also Castle of the Living Dead, which has a very young Donald Sutherland. I think it might be Donald Sutherland's first movie. I'm a little rusty, but I'm pretty sure it's his first or second movie. And also another Elvira one that I really love, The Cyclops. I got this a long time ago. I used to watch this movie almost every other night for about 6 months. I don't know what the attraction was to it. It was just something about it. I can't even explain. It's not a great movie, but it's got something. Then we've got Deadly Eyes, one of the best Killer Rats movies. And speaking of Killer Rats, we also have Food of the Gods. That's another great one for a lot of you out there who know Bird Eye Gordon. He did that one. And let's flip around to the Fs I have over here now. We have the Freddy's Nightmares series on VHS, which was one of the best television series to ever be on, I think. From 1988 to 1990 it ran. We've also got From Beyond with Jeffrey Combs from 1986, Brian Yuzna film. Let's see. Fräulein Devil, actually. This movie I got from a friend of mine who works at Troma Entertainment. I used to intern at Troma. I still do work with them, and he was getting rid of his VHS collection he always would have on his desk. And one day he just said, hey, you want the VHS tapes? And I gave him like $50 for a dozen tapes. Not a bad deal. Wizard Video, obviously. I mean, great box art. Let's see, we got Hell Train. Oh, the Hitchhiker television series from back in 1984 to 1989 it ran. Originally on HBO. It was HBO's first television series ever, if I'm remembering correctly. And the stars they had on there, just amazing. Once again, Klaus Kinski. They also had Robert Vaughn, Michael Ironside. Too many people to really name now, but it's one of the best horror shows ever made. It's kind of like Twilight Zone meets, I don't know, like Twilight Zone in the 80s, basically. It's better than the 80s Twilight Zone, that's for sure. We've got Killer Fish. That's a great one, with Lee Majors and Karen Black from 1979. This movie was also a Fawcett Majors production, which Farrah Fawcett and Lee Majors both produced. This one's pretty rare, too. I paid, God, I think I paid $40 for it with the cut box. And we got more down here. Got the Mardi Gras Massacre. I think that was another direct-to-video movie, if I remember correctly, from, God, early 80s. Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price, which was recently remade, of course, has I Am Legend with Will Smith. This is much better than I Am Legend. Just for the record, I Am Legend is terrible. So if you people out there like I Am Legend, I'm sorry. Now, one of my favorite sections in the entire video store is right here. My collection of Mystery Science Theater 3000 tapes. Now, I'm sure most of you out there watching this know Mystery Science Theater 3000, so I don't need to explain the backstory of what it is. So I will say, out of all my Mystery Science Theater movies, I have to go with what the masses usually say. And my favorite one is Mitchell, starring Joe Don Baker, which is a classic. Anything with Joe Don Baker is good, by the way. And I have a lot of Joe Don Baker movies. The man's a great actor. He's one of the best. Let's see. Oh, Night Beast. This one's a classic. Directed by Don Dohler from 1985, I believe. Also starring George Stover. About an alien that comes to Earth, starts creating havoc, killing people. Not an Alien ripoff, though. Different movie, but you can relate it to Alien in some minor ways. Primal Impulse. This was an interesting one. I got this from a video store in Englishtown, New Jersey. Well, it's a video store, but it's at a flea market. I forgot what the name of the video store is, but the guy was kind of a little bit of a jerk, though, with his pricing. He always wanted $20 and up, and for somebody at a flea market, I don't know, I think $20 and up for a VHS tape's a little high. But I bought it anyway because it was Klaus Kinski. We also have Puppet Master movies. I was a very big Puppet Master fan. These I got from Baltic Video back in, I think, 1998. When Baltic Video, they started to liquidate their VHS tapes. They were still in business for another 10 years, but they kind of favored to an adult demographic, so they started getting more porn and just getting rid of the regular movies, and that was one of them. Let's see. Oh, God, this one. There's a lot of history behind Slaughter Hotel, another Klaus Kinski film. This was back in 2003. I got this off of half.com, and at the time, I paid $120 for this movie. Now it's on DVD for, I think, $10. You can pick it up if you look hard enough. It's just heartbreaking that this movie cost me $120, and now it's been devalued so much. Ugh. See what else we got here. Let's Stay Awake. That was a bad one. Let's see. Terror on Tape. Then Torture Chamber. Just trying to find a good one here that has some good back history to go with it. Oh, actually, this is a good one. Terror in the Wax Museum, starring John Carradine from 1973. This one I actually picked up in, oh God, what was it? A place in Montana. I was in Gillette, Montana, is where I got this movie. And it cost me $40 to pick this up. It was a video store called, oh God. It was a generic title. It was something video, you know, Jim's Video, something kind of like a hick name. And I bought Terror in the Wax Museum for $40, and I ask myself honestly why I bought it. It does have some appeal to it, but it's not worth $40. But I'm a collector, so that's what I do. And that's actually another thing, basically paying excessive amounts of money for these videos. There was a place called Suncoast Video. I think they were in business since the early 90s, and I used to order movies every week. I would literally go through their catalog book that they would have, and I would just look for horror movies, and I would pick out whatever sounded good title-wise. I would actually just look for a good title, and I would buy whatever had a good title. So it was like $20 here, $20 there. God, I was placing orders upwards of like $200 sometimes. All money I made landscaping. And it wasn't a waste of money. It was worth it, but just seeing what prices are now, I just can't believe I paid that much. And over here we have, actually this is the counterpart to Terror in the Wax Museum that I was just talking about. I got this from the same store, and this was also $40. A Peter Cushing movie from 1970. I believe Hammer had something to do with it. It was a co-production with another company. We also have, let's see, Willard. This one was a classic. I got this back in 2000, and I paid $10 for it at a little video store just outside of, I want to say Branchburg, New Jersey. I think it may have been a Video Extra or something along those lines. It's so tough to remember the video store names because they were so generic, some of them. Then we also have Man with the X-Ray Eyes. Oh, this one is a direct-to-video classic, in my opinion. Wood Chipper Massacre, which, once you watch it, you can tell what I mean by direct-to-video classic. Shot by a couple of, young filmmakers, and it shows. But it shows in a good way, though. It has sort of a charm to it. About a guy who accidentally, how can I put it? They kill their aunt/babysitter, and then they have to get rid of her body. And of course, what did they use? A wood chipper that their father rented for chopping up trees. And pretty much that's the story. They chop her up, and then they have to, try and clean up all the evidence so they don't go to jail. Simple but good. All right.
Go ahead.
Right. All right, now we're in the drama section. Not one of my favorite sections, but we have some good titles here. Backtrack with Dennis Hopper. I got this from Suncoast Video also. This was one of my $20 purchases. Vincent Price is also in Backtrack. Really good movie. I recommend it to anybody who's a Dennis Hopper fan. Let's see, moving down here. Born Innocent in the original oversized box. That's a classic for Linda Blair people out there. And over here we have the Charlie Chan series. Let's see what else we got. Columbo, whole bunch of old recordings I made back on the VHS recorder when they showed it on TV in the day. And what else do I have down here? Dave the Jackal. That's a pretty good drama, actually. I picked that up at a video store in Cody, Wyoming. I was there back in 2002, I think. And this was like a $5 purchase. I didn't even think it would be good. I just picked out a movie just to buy something, and it turned out to be pretty good. And now, coming out of the aisles here, we have one of the most entertaining things down here in the video store, and that's the Blockbuster Gumball Machine. This baby I acquired just recently, within the past 3 months. The Blockbuster by me on St. George's Ave in Linden was going out of business, and they had 2 gumball machines. Unfortunately, I got the one that didn't have the key to it, of course. It was $100 for the gumball machine, and I had to, of course, carry it out myself and not dismantle it, but it was a pain in the ass getting it in my car because I drive a Camaro with T-tops, so it's not exactly the biggest car in the world. So I'm driving down the street with this huge gumball machine, trying not to break the plastic or glass element here. And it's a great addition to the collection, actually. Let me just put a little quarter in there. One more. Hey, blue, my favorite color. There we go. That's good. Tasty. Tastes like the 1980s, too. That's probably how old these damn things are. Oh. All right, now we're going back. Actually, I'm going to kind of skip the drama section. We'll go on over to comedies. I think that'd be better. Keep people entertained. All right. So the comedies. Okay. Cannonball Run. By far one of the best comedies ever made. Sort of a... well, for those of you who've seen It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World, it's got that style to it as far as everybody just going crazy, except in this one, instead of trying to find hidden money, they're just trying to win the race. And it's got an all-star cast, just like that movie. You've got Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr. driving a Ferrari, which is just phenomenal. And of course, you got Burt Reynolds. And, as everybody knows out there, Burt Reynolds is usually pretty good in anything he's in. All right. Over here we have, let's see. That one was terrible. Buddy Buddy with Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon. Directed by Billy Wilder. One of their forgotten movies they did together, I believe. I never hear people talk about this for some reason. Walter Matthau plays a hitman who's trying to do a job. And Jack Lemmon is just a guy who recently got separated from his wife, and he keeps trying to kill himself. And of course, it interferes with Walter Matthau, who's in the next room trying to do his job. And it just goes crazy from there. The music video section we have now. Let's see. Jimi Hendrix on Warner Brothers Home Video. That's a pretty rare one. That used to be worth, I think, $70, $80 back in the heyday. We've also got, let's see, Mr. Mister music video collection. That's very good. Jefferson Starship from 1983, right before they changed their name to Starship. Now we're back to the comedy section over here. Big I Love Lucy fan. I have all the Lucy Desi comedy hours. I also have the Lucy show. I even have her road trip episodes when she went to California, and also when she went overseas to Italy and France. And this was how they used to release them back in the 1980s on these huge clamshell boxes for the Lucy episodes. Now everything's on DVD, of course. And these weren't cheap to get. For 2 episodes, it cost you about, I think, $30 just to get these. We have 2 Gary Coleman classics here. Kid with 200 IQ and Kid with a Broken Halo, which is when Gary Coleman was still in his prime, so to speak, if you can say in his prime, that is. All right. Gilligan's Island, the old original clamshell boxes, just like the I Love Lucy tapes. Same thing. You get, 3 episodes. Same thing, still like $30 though. Now you can buy a DVD with 20 episodes for that same amount of money. It's amazing. We've also got Gotcha, one of the forgotten 80s movies with Anthony Edwards from Top Gun. As you can see, we've still got the weekly rental sticker on there. Still in the comedy section over here. Fast Getaway with Corey Haim, who recently passed away, I think about a year ago. That's a good one. One of my childhood favorites, Daffy Duck's Fantastic Island, which is a take on Fantasy Island and Ricardo Montalban. This is another one I got from Baltic Video, and Baltic Video truly was one of my favorite video stores to go to. I mean, mostly because I started going there when I was really young, and this was one of the first movies I actually bought from them when they started selling movies and I was able to buy them. So it has a lot of memories, that one.
Ready and go.
Do you want me to come into the frame or?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, whenever you're ready.
All right, so now we're going over to my video store counter. This counter right here I got from my friend Mike, who used to own the Palmer Video in Kenilworth, New Jersey. He sold me this for practically nothing. The stipulation, of course, was I had to go there and take it away myself. And the counter was so big, as you can see, I actually had to cut it in half just to get it down my basement. And it was crazy, but it was worth it. As you can see, I've got the full effect going here. In front of me, I have not VHS. These are all beta tapes that you see here. They used to put them in the same size clamshells as VHS. I never knew why, but as you can see, the tapes are much smaller, obviously, the betas. They said the quality was better on Betamax, but I watched it compared to VHS, and I really don't see the difference in quality. Just it's more compact. And we also have a movie review book here for anybody who wants to come to Bradco Video and check over a movie before you rent it. Make sure you're not renting something bad. And I go to a lot of film conventions too. As you can see, I have a picture of Gary Busey here, which he autographed for me about a year ago at the Chiller Convention in Parsippany. One of the actually rarest movies I have too here at Bradco Video would be Night Dreams, which is a porno film that's very awkward. Probably one of the strangest porno films ever made, and that's Betamax. Got my old Epson computer from 1990, and this computer is so old that it doesn't even have a mouse. Anytime you're in here scrolling through it, you have to just use the up and down, left and right arrow keys to move, and that's basically it. There's a couple of old games on it, like Star Trek V, but you know, nothing I'm really gonna play. And behind the counter is where I keep all of my porno titles. We have VHS and Betamax porn for rent here, as you can see. One of my personal favorite covers, though, for the porn, I love Rachel on Fire. I think that's a real good one, as you can see. And some other things that I have. I also have a, what is it? For the computer, 5.5-inch floppy disks to save the files in my video store catalog. And we also have, my posters. I can't forget about those. A lot of these posters I got from Troma Entertainment. Once again, I was talking earlier about how I interned at Troma. And Starworms, Death to the Pee-wee Squad, Curse of the Cannibal Confederates, which is actually also called Curse of the Screaming Dead. Just a few of the posters. I have, I think, 40 posters from Troma. All sorts of horror, action, exploitation movies. I've also got, since I make movies too, I have a huge collection of things that I create for movie reasons, like WKXN News. I'm doing a movie now called Bible Belt Slasher Part 2, and there's a scene with a news reporter, and we actually recreate a newsroom using this same video store counter. So we transformed this video store into a news desk for the movie I just did. And I've also got a top loader VCR over here. This VCR is from 1985. This is when they started to get more compact with the VCRs. As you can see, it has the little handle, so you can actually pretty much take this wherever you want with you and just plug it in. I'm assuming a lot of people used it when they would shoot on VHS. If they wanted to play back their video, they probably plugged it into the nearest TV if they couldn't wait to get home. Yeah, let's just eject this here. As you can see, that goes up. Got the evil here. Just take that out and pop that in, and it figures it's going to be a pain to get out. There we go. Press play there. And this TV, I've had this since 1988. This is one of my first TVs ever, actually. And the TV is so old. And, of course, the tape's going to have static issues right now. Well, we'll worry about that later. That is what it is for now. And more betas, as you can see over here, a whole bunch of them. I was recently at another film convention. That's where I got most of these. Somebody was just getting rid of them for 50 cents a piece. We've got, Prom Night, which was remade recently. The original with Leslie Nielsen in it. That's a great one. And overall, I mean, I just really love movies, and that's why I got into collecting so many videos and basically building my own video store in the basement. And it's inspired me too to be a filmmaker, because I make a lot of short and feature films, and I also work on a lot of other people's short and feature films. It's what I love to do. And having this video store, it's sort of like a little peace of mind. If the day is going crazy and I need to relax, I know I can just come down here, sit behind the counter, and sort of space out, think of ideas, grab a movie just to, inspire me if I want to start writing another script. That's where my video store comes in handy. A lot of people who write films, I believe, they get their ideas from, what they see. And since the internet and computer, it's taken over today's world pretty much, a lot of people, granted, you can get a lot of information off the computer, but it's not the same as having the physical objects. There's something about being able to go through everything and looking at it, especially the artwork. That's where videos really suffer now with downloading and streaming off the internet. You don't get that same feel of the tangible item, like these big boxes that you can have and hold. It just, I don't know, there's something about having the physical item that means more and makes you appreciate it more, I think, because of the effort especially put into it. It's not easy to design artwork for a box. I just recently had to design artwork for one of my movies, and it's a time-consuming process. And when you look at your work, you really like to savor it. And that's where the video store comes in. The artwork, it's just great. And same thing as what's behind the artwork, the video itself. Watching a movie and renting it, it's kind of like I don't know, it's fun, and it feels like something that's natural and should be around forever, even though video stores are going out of business. I think it's going to come back. It's like anything else. It goes away for a while, but at some point, a lot of people start saying they miss it, and before you know it, somebody brings it back full blast. And everything goes full circle. Whatever is gone will not be gone forever. It will come back.
Is there any that you want to specifically talk about?
Yeah, all right. Let's see where I want to go with this. All right. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
What's up? Just gonna look at some special tapes. Jekyll and Hyde together again. It's not something you see every day. Crazy. Let's see. Here's animals. It's always cool.
Yeah, if there are any stories about the tapes that you want to tell, you can go ahead and do that too.
All right. Well, here's Tenement right here. This is extremely hard to get. If you look in the background, you can see the stuff going on. So this gang runs roughshod over this tenement right here, and it can get pretty gory. Rapes, you know, the whole nine. Try to get Tim if you get a chance. That's awesome.
How about you talk about how you went about acquiring all 8 Midnight videos?
A lot? Okay. I got these Midnight videos up here, as you see, all 8. And it takes a long time to do that. Go ahead and set your mind in a pace that's slow, because if you think you're just going to race out and get them, that's not going to happen, and it's going to hurt your feelings. Just slowly but surely go to eBay, go to any of the sources that you have confidence in, and pursue the titles. I can. Every one of them is hard to get, but I can assure you that the Gore Girls is going to really be hard. Bloodthirsty Butchers is going to be really hard. None of them are easy. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying those 2 right there are going to really, if you got them already, no, you're on the downside. So there you go. Here's one that's hard to get. They just remade this recently. There's a remake of Don't Be Afraid of the Dark out now. You probably know that. This is the original one on USA. Very hard to get. Just a whole lot of fun. Oh, I've got to show you this. I showed this recently on a video of mine on YouTube, but is that cover art or what? The Thrill Killers. That's some serious cover art. When you see that, you want to rent it, because you're thinking to yourself, something deep inside you is saying to yourself, you want to see what this is all about when you see that. Let's move on. I mean, just look at this. This film here is so rare. Sorority Girls and the Creature from Hell. Man, that's beyond rare. That's as rare as it gets. This is equal to as rare as it gets. That right there is probably the Creature from Hell, and there's a sorority girl. Love it, because I know it's one of the only ones in existence. This one here, this ain't easy to get. Zombie versus Mardi Gras. Beads, breasts, blood. Come on. It's perfect. It's what we're all here for. Uh-oh. That's just unreal. This is new to my collection. Nobody's seen. This right here is a This right here is an exclusive showing. Nobody in the world even knows I own this because I haven't put it on my YouTube page yet. Dreamstalker. That bloody blade. A Picture One production. Let me set this right here and show you another film under the same title, but they're not the same movie. They just have the same title, Dreamstalker. So what I like to do is just set them beside each other and just take a look at what we got. Dreamstalker, Dreamstalker. Two different films sharing the same title. And that's what horror video collecting's all about. You take them, you put them back on the shelf. These two actually read backwards. Most VHSs read this way, just like you see all the rest of them reading, so you can clearly read them. And these two appear to be backwards. Well, they are. You can't turn it around because it's the exact same way. They're backwards. They printed them backwards. This is new and something cool. Zombie 4, A Virgin Among the Living Dead. Zombie 4, After Death. I mean, which one is it? Got this other version of A Virgin Among the Living Dead right here, which is the same movie as Zombie 4, Virgin Among the Living Dead. So that's the same film. But these two, what's going on here? Can't they pick out which one's Zombie 4? After Death or A Virgin Among the Living Dead? Which one is it? All right, I just got them both. Get your camera? Check this out, man. See this? This is what I got left on Sun Video. The People Who Own the Dark. Sun Video. One of the rarest companies you can get a video on. Just wanted to show that because I don't really know how much that's worth, but it's worth so much that I'm not even going to stop and try to place a price on it. Things, 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 things too. It can get confusing in the horror video world. These two things here, they're the same movie. This things here has nothing to do with these things. This things too is a sequel to these, but yet not this one. So see, it's tricky. You got to know your stuff. Look at this video. In the Shadow of Bigfoot. It's so rare, man. I mean, I feel so lucky to even hold it in my hands. I can't believe it. Actual footage of Bigfoot on here. You see some of these others are all Bigfoot films also. Up here, you're going to find the stuff for the true gore hound. The person that says, oh, I like my stuff rough, tough, and bloody. This is it. This row, look. The Men Behind the Sun, Laboratory of the Devil, The Untold Story. That's also known as Barbecue Pork Bun. Nutbag, Schizophreniac, The Gore Horror. I mean, look where it's going here, guys. This right here is the true blood and guts of your collection. When you have this particular row in your collection, you don't go there much. Every once in a while, though, you want to go there. My Sweet Satan. This is the story of Ricky Queso, who makes you say you love Satan, as he's stabbing you in the eye. That's a great film. So proud to own My Sweet Satan. Scram, the Necromantic series. Here's the Violent Shit series. I mean, this is the real stuff here, man. I piss on your grave, I puke on your grave, I spit on your corpse, I piss on your grave. I mean, you can tell what you're getting before you ever even put this in the VCR, because they're trying to tell you that this is the game plan's over. These aren't for fun; these are for real. So when you put this in, you sit down, you come away changed a little bit. You're not the same person you were before you watched the movie. When you get done, you're a little different. What's up here? Check it out. They live, they crawl, they watch, they bite. This is the newest video I got in my entire collection, is why I did that. Newest video I have right there. They bite. Just a cheap, not cheap as in what I had to pay or what anybody else would have to pay, but just a cheap made horror film. They came from beyond the stars to spawn in the sea. They're hungry and they bite. Here you go. Deranged. This is the story of serial killer Ed Gein. I think they call him the Butcher of Plainsfield. You got another Deranged there, same movie, different titles. This right here is Midnight 2. It's extremely hard to get. I'm sorry. I've got to go see something real quick, man. What was that? Is Sweetie in here? Where's Sweetie meowing at? I can hear my cat meowing somewhere. You want to go outside? Come on, girl.
What?
Alright, you can go ahead and pick up from where you left off if you want, or we can go into the next room.
All right, let's just think about what we, I'll show you this right here. This up here I wanted to show you. It starts off with the teacher and just the way I progressed it along. Hell High, Slaughter High, and as you see, it keeps on going all the way to Graduation Day, then Splatter University. Just some way, you know, like I say, I don't keep them in any particular order as A, B, C, D, but this is a way, this is in order. I know where all my high movies are. Slaughter High, Zombie High, Full Moon High. I know where I'm going to find them. I'll look right here beside it. The Centerfold Girls. Fatal Games. I mean, they're here, man. This is what 13 years of high production collecting will get you. And down here is all Paragon. This one here is always cool. The Navy versus the Night Monsters. This one here is always sweet. Just Before Dawn. Yeah, sure, we'll take a trip to the other. Well, no, man, I've got to show you this down here if you don't mind. Let's take a look down here. This over here is the Mogul stuff. Really proud of this. Macabre. Curse of the Screaming Dead. Also, I got this same film, oddly under the same, a different title, but the same movie right here, brand new. Curse of the Cannibal Confederates. That is Curse of the Screaming Dead. Here's one. Feast for the Devil. And then the final one I want to show you. One of my most proud videos, Rape. All right, there we go. We got more we can see. I'm waiting so long.
No, it's no problem, yeah. This is what we're here for. We just have a 5-hour drive ahead of us to the next interview.
Pure energy. Perfect. If I walk back here and I had to snatch one film off here and just say, beat that, first thing I would grab is this. Have a nice weekend. All American. There's a lot of movies back here. This is the first one I would grab and say, check this out. Have a nice weekend. And there's a lot of them up here. Oh, I just got this. Beyond the Living Dead. Look at that beautiful image on the front. Is that not the most gorgeous image you've ever seen in your life? I already know it is. You don't even have to answer. My God, it's so beautiful. Amazing. Beyond the Living Dead. That's my most recent film that I've purchased, period. Here we go. We were talking about this a while ago. This is another unicorn. It's called The Demon Lover. Same thing on the back as it is on the front. At last, the truth about demons. A lot of people are crazy about this right here. And when I say crazy about it, they really are. Witch's Mountain. I admit, that's some beautiful cover art. They don't get any better than that. Oh my God. The Witch's Mountain.
If you could kind of hold him down low, because there's a glare.
There's a glare.
A little bit of a
Okay,
glare.
gotcha. I'll try to do that. See right here? See if you can tell they're two different colors. Green and blue. The Tormentor it was released with green and blue. There is a difference. On the front, the whole shade is like a blue type background. And it has a blue side on it. Let me slide this in and pull out this green one. The whole thing is like a greenish background and it has a green side on it. They're two different ones. Some people believe that one might be faded is really the only difference. That's not true. They were obviously, with this green one and this blue one right here, you can tell that they were actually produced like this. Look at this one. The Screaming Dead. Man, that's so rare. It's crazy. This right here has actually a lot of Dracula and Frankenstein elements to it, of all things. You ever seen this before? Bog. Look at that thing holding her by her hair, pulling her into the swamp. Bog. Oh, could I try to sell you on it or what? There you go. What's the real deal there?
All right, let's do a couple more.
Okay, there's a couple more.
Here, I'll get a shot of the. Is this the complete Elvira?
It is the complete Elvira. I'll back up and let you know. I got one for you. Pull it out of the dark into the light. Satanic Attraction. Now the same people who made this also made The Ritual of Death. You get one, you might want to get the other. The Ritual of Death. It's dark, I know. Well, we're working with what we got, man.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're done. I know you're pretty much darkened out over here in this corner. I don't know what else I could bring out for you.
My name is Zach Carlson. This is my garage, basically. It's our back house that we converted into clearly our office for my wife and I. This is 15,000 balls in a ball pit that I put together about a few years ago. We just moved it to this house recently. And now I'm going to get out and show you more of my sad middle-aged world. Oh yeah, let's not lose that. Okay. I have to get up again. All right. Oh yeah, I almost hit my head on it. So this is the room where I keep all my videos. I have been putting together this collection for a really long time, and we try to keep it limited to stuff that is, for the most part, not so easy to find. Although now with the DVD going out, like I kind of wish that I'd kept more of those too. The bulk of it is VHS, although occasionally you get a section like the complete run of The Golden Girls, which is obviously on DVD. But I mean, there's tons of stuff in here that took me forever to find. One of them that I'm really proud of and I think is beautiful is The Human Duplicators. That was on Thriller Video. Like, this is a great example of a movie that's only ever come out on VHS and that I love. And also to go with that is my favorite of all of the Elvira re-releases, which is Alabama's Ghost, which is like a really surreal, almost Holy Mountain-esque kind of regional horror experience. From the American South. This is The Abomination, which everybody looked for way too long. And now I think the director finally officially put out on DVD. But I don't like that DVD. Mogul Video, it has some of the greatest covers. This is Don't Panic, which is a Mexican horror movie, kind of a knockoff of Nightmare on Elm Street. And it's just like this beautiful, like incredibly painted cover that just, you know, is way more outrageous than the way the movie looks. They also did this Don't Look in the Attic box, which is great. But basically all of the best titles in here all came from mom and pop shops that just were in their final moments and selling off their stock, which is always a bittersweet experience. It's never like a real conquest when you go into an independent video store that's selling off all their stuff because the world has lost another soldier. Once I kind of exhausted a lot of big box horror stuff, there's Lunch Meat. I started getting into more sort of like oddball regional stuff, and I've started getting into titles like this Lost Faith movie by Joel Wynkoop, where it's really just like 40-year-old men like this punching each other and kicking each other's face. And I've kind of embarked on more kind of homemade action collecting. Killing of Satan is another great big box from Paragon. This is a rare occasion where this artwork, which is like completely triumphant, is actually equaled by the movie that's in here. Like, there's no image on this box that isn't something that you see happen in this movie, which is not something that many of these movies can say. But around this side, it continues, and we have this one, Streets of Death, which is a Jeff Hathcock movie, which is really, really rare, and it took me forever to find. And this is a prime example of just like super gutter level shot on video exploitation / horror stuff. And I really wish that there were 1,000 more titles like this, but sadly there are not. I also like weird kids movies. For instance, Super Seal, starring Foster Brooks, who's the world's most famous drunk comedian. His whole style of comedy is based on him acting like he's drunk, and then he made kids movies acting drunk. So that's why there's so many alcoholics in our generation. And I mean, it's basically more of the same. I have a lot of great stuff. One thing I wanted to maybe mention is that there are a lot of American-made movies that were only ever released on VHS and in Japan in English with Japanese subtitles. So like, I mean, there's probably like a good couple hundred action or horror films that the only way you're gonna get them ever is to buy a tape from Japan. And this is an example of a movie called Rockadai Baby, which is like the most mentally challenged horror anthology ever made. Like, basically the premise for all three stories is one would be called The Werewolf. And there's 30 minutes of people trying to figure out who's killing people. At the end, they're like, oh, a werewolf did it. But it was already called that. So the story is revealed. And it's just that 3 times. It's not very good, but it is very unique. It also has the dumbest title, Rockadai Baby. Like, give me a goddamn break. And I don't know, that's it.